Welcome back to the Eric Krown Crypto channel. Wishing you a happy start to this Wednesday morning here as we get prepared for more of the same, more of the actual same as Bitcoin does play at more or less a sideways price action from yesterday to today and actually the day prior and before that as well. So I wanted to follow up on a few ideas and then kind of put things into perspective as far as the bigger picture goes and actually speak about a few new things as well. Anyways, other than that, I wanted once again to give the spotlight to the buyback promotion going on. They got 0% on maker fees for derivative contract orders. Plus, you can get the Joolite free for the first 30 days if you follow the directions in the link in the description below. And then of course, if you're concerned about KYC exchanges and stuff like that, you might want to consider Apex Exchange. Of course, that's Bybit's decentralized exchange arm, which may or may not be relevant to you. You obviously can make that decision for yourself, but there is another affiliate link in the description below as well that will award you 5% off of your fees for the lifetime of your account. You know, fee like 5% in general for all fees, not just maker, but also taker as well. All right, sweet. Let's just jump right into it. Starting off right in over here with the 12-hour HPDR ranges. Yet again, it's the exact same thing as yesterday, basically. Top side of the current range, about just below 28,000 bucks. Bottom side of the current range, just below 26,500. If you want to be super exact, 26,450 or so. In this case, as long as Bitcoin's between there, there's really nothing like significantly new to be speaking about. However, in the short term, it is still more likely, as we'll go through, more likely to test a little bit to the downside. Maybe give another tap. Maybe another tap of the old supply right there of the of that 26.5 region or so. And then for the Bulaw's sake, hopefully a little bit of a bounce, grind it out and back up, and most importantly, either back above this last 2-day high on a tick basis, or especially closing above 27.9 basically. Bless you, sir. Anyways, moving through it now, the reason why I do think that lower term timeframes are more likely to trade south in the short term here, we can see on daily stochastic momentum, it's actually be pointed back onto the downside if Bitcoin does close today below 27,000 bucks. You can kind of see it teeter-tottering around the same sort of pivot for the past few days here. It is getting incredibly close here, and obviously it's very, very close even to the critical zone, which means that it will be very difficult to keep up the short-term downside momentum on the higher term time frames. So ultimately, I do think that this does end up being a bit of an opportunity. But of course, as long as it is below short term, more likely to test that downside before anything else. 12-hour time frame is actually going to be vertical here above 26,150, but that's even below the bottom side of the current range low. So Bitcoin could theoretically retest the bottom side of that low and then bounce back up. That's essentially what Bitcoin Bulaw's are looking for right here. 6-hour time frame, however, about to turn down, or potentially going to turn down with any sort of a closure below 26,900 or so. 4-hour time frame is nose diving below 27,450, and hourly time frame is probably also pointed down as well. Yeah, it is fresh down below 27.2. So short term, today, namely, Bitcoin Barrow is probably going to go for a retest of this region right here. But again, I would not, as we'll go over a little bit later, I actually don't think it's that likely to break. I do think that this probably ends up being an opportunity. But of course, before I get into the reasons why, before I get into the reasons why, I do want to speak a little bit more about some of the other ideas that we were looking at yesterday, namely the 12-hour RSI hidden bearish divergence right here, which was confirmed on CME. Also, a simultaneous rejection of the bottom side of the Gaussian channel in this time frame. And then what do you know? We got the CME gap bola coming in just below 26,500 as well. So a lot of these things match up, obviously. In this case over here, 26,450 versus this one over here. The actual gap, yeah, about 26,450 as well, to be fair. Bitcoin probably does test somewhere back down around there. But until there's actually a closure below the range lows, I don't really have a reason to be looking like significantly lower. That's why I do say that ultimately it probably is an opportunity, or at least I'll go through a little bit later. I shouldn't really put my opinion on this sort of a thing. It's just things are so fucking boring that I feel like I feel like saying a little bit more. But in this case, yeah, if Bitcoin does close below the range lows, all of that goes out the window. Very likely looking somewhere just south of 25,000 bucks. Yeah, they'll probably be bounced along the way, obviously, but upper 24s basically is kind of where I'd be looking for before the next sort of higher term time frame bounce, if you will. All right, sweet. So we've gone through that. We've gone through that now. I do want to speak about the 12-hour HPDR setup over here, as that one is still viable. But actually, before we get into this one, yeah, let's speak about some or follow up on some that we haven't followed up on since I think last Friday, and that is the Dixie chart. of which we were looking at a big bounce coming off of this 101 region, or about 101 region. Looking at least 103. It's gotten pretty damn close to that thus far. Current high of the week at about 102.78. I do think that this one could actually push higher as well. Maybe even close to 105. Wouldn't be that crazy. Somewhere between like 105, 106 region. Certainly not out of the question, but still coming off this bounce territory right here. So if I did want to accurately represent or give due diligence to what bears are probably thinking, they're probably looking at dollar strength equals risk assets weakness, which is not the full picture, at least in my opinion. I mean, we've seen these things rally and fall together simultaneously, so I don't think it operates exactly like that. But if I wanted to make that picture, this is what I'd be looking at right here. And as you can see, probably does gun higher on this rally. I don't think it's going to stop at 103. Essentially, I do think that this one does move probably closer to 105. So does that put downwards pressure on price action for everything else? Well, could that, or I guess that would be my bearish interpretation over here. It's like, hey, DACE is going to rally off these lows. It's going to put in like an actual rally, probably going to break 26.5 or 26.4 depending upon your time frame, and at that point have to be looking closer to like 25. That would be kind of like the synopsis that I'd be having for that. But until then, I still do have probabilistic setups over here that are not nullified. They're still very much viable, and nothing's really changed. This is the 12-hour Joule Light setup, which is very, very simple setup. Essentially, anytime that the 12-hour Joule Light goes below about the 40 read and then turns white on the first tick, alongside PMARP being below about 50 reads over here, that has led to, if we put on the strategy tester, about just over 76% strike rate for a nice bounce over the past 46 closed trades. Bringing us back, the past few years here. Did take on average about 23 bars. So, 23 bars is 11 and a half days. And this officially went off on the 12th of Friday. So, where does that put us? That puts us within like the next 4 or 5 days or so, again, on average. So can Bitcoin in the short term play out a short term downside move, maybe retest around the, or somewhere around the current low and then reverse from there and still play out that move? Yeah, it's still very much in the cards right there. Nothing's really been invalidated. Again, invalidation, as far as I'm concerned, would be below basically those same range lows is how I look at it right there. But yeah. Anyways, going back into the strategy tester, of course, in referencing the performance summary, we can see that the average winning trade did return about 8%. So 8% from that particular setup, given would put Bitcoin again closer to about $29,000. Again, there's going to be some variance within those results. On the lower end, I expect like mid 28s. On the upper end, probably back up to the overall range highs at 29.5 or so. But essentially bouncing back up above now 28.5 or so, or even just 28 and closing a higher term time from above there. That would really make me look at this as one massive reaccumulation, getting ready to retest the highs of this rally, and very likely push to not new all-time highs, but new highs on this rally as well. I would still be looking at like mid, maybe even deep $30,000 territory as relevant. So ultimately, I still think this isn't, it's not that I still think this is in the cards, it's literally in the cards. And, all that I should really be doing on this channel is just reading off the statistics anyways, and you can make your decisions for yourself. It's like, tell me long or short. Is it long or short? Is it fuck or not right now? It's like, I don't know. You make that decision for yourself, man. But anyways, again, I do want to reference that these setups, we've seen several of them. We've seen several of them, in the past few months since I really started bringing them out on this channel, and many of them worked out. I think the last one did not work out. Does this one work out as well? I mean, these statistics, and when we're looking at statistics, we're not talking about certainties. And in this case, 76%, pretty fucking good, obviously. But when we just saw I guess we've seen 1-2 trades. The last 2 trades already worked out. The one before that did fail. So, would this one work out as well? I mean, generally speaking, every 4 trades, you should be expecting about 3 wins, 1 loss, if that holds true. And in my experience, generally it does. So, is this one still primed? Yeah, I don't really have a reason to believe not just yet. Also, on the BULA side, I would go back on over here and go look at NASDAQ futures, which are continuing to make new highs on this week. New highs on the rally overall, as we said, was likely coming into this week. And I think it's probably going to be making new highs still throughout this week. Now, it's no secret that obviously this is being held up by really just a few companies, but doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I mean, up is up, man. Up is up. And that's what our P&Ls are measured off of, is the actual price. And in this case, probably does have a little bit more to go. I mean, it's coming off of that monthly bullish divergence, and daily still continue to play it out, as is the 2-day, I believe, as well. So in this case, I still think that this one has more to go. And generally speaking, we see Bitcoin and NASDAQ trade with each other. Bitcoin and techs basically trade with each other. And, well, that would kind of bode well for the boo laws over there as well. Now, again, I don't think this is like the start of like a new massive major new all-time high run or anything like that. But, generally playing in a massive range with probably more upside to go, and then probably coming back down to the range lows, something like that would probably make sense. But yeah, I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off on this particular video. Another 10-minute long video. I think that's about the sweet spot for what people generally want here, which is all good, man, which is all good. And I'll be signing off on that note. Hopefully we have something a little bit more interesting to be looking at tomorrow. Until then, I'm going to be wishing you the best as always. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.